I have audio of a ridiculous conversation that happened between Dan Le Batard and Stephen A. Smith a couple of years ago. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, yes, please.
Kidding
You
me?
got a 7-game series against the Heat that you've got to win tomorrow. I'm giving you the entire league to pick players from. Who's your first pick? You have to beat the Heat in a 7-game series. Your first pick is?
Oh, no.
I would say Tim Duncan. You need a big because obviously Miami.
No.
Yes. I want Tim Duncan, especially after he missed the shot he missed last year because he's hungrier than ever.
I can't believe you took Duncan over Hibbert. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, my God. Oof. You guys just stole my soul.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We are told at every turn that Game 7 tonight of the Stanley Cup Final, Game 7, best 2 words in sports. That's what's alleged. Stugotz wants you to come up with the worst 2 words in sports. That's where we're going to start today to avoid talking hockey in any way.
I'm also wondering if there is a better 2 words in sports, better than Game 7. I'm not certain there is, but I'm also wondering, like, have we ever explored that?
Not the show I want to do. I want to do your original idea. Why can't you stay on idea for 5 seconds?
Because I have ADD.
Your idea is worst 2 words in sports. Let's stay there.
Dry campus.
That's pretty good. Dry campus is pretty good. I also want to get into something with you guys because we've been making fun of sports radio for a long time around here, and the summer months are usually good for the last 20 years for ESPN. Somebody at ESPN to wonder whether Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. But in terms of Hall of Fame tired discussions, where should the U.S. women have been celebrating so much rank? Because I am so damn tired of people arguing about sportsmanship and etiquette. Like, it has gotten so old where we just need to talk about something. We can't talk about 13-0.
So we talk about how they celebrated once they got it to 11-0, 12-0, 13-0.
Am I wrong? This is like an evergreen on conversation that is just, we've been doing it in baseball for 15 years. Poor Brian McCann has the reputation of fun police.
This is like the equivalent of probably like 90-0 in football, though. This is insane. I mean, I get it because it's group stage, so every team's going to play that team they played. So you can make the argument, pile it on because goal difference matters, but the celebration, I think, is where the debate comes in.
Okay, but this is what I would ask you. Where do I have to put the story for you not to be interested in whether the celebrations are etiquette-based or not? Like, we've gone over this for many years, the idea that these people are playing games and you want them to show respect to a game and to their opponent. And I'm just asking you where I have to put the story. What's the tipping point? You're saying, Chris, you're interested in the idea of showboating at 13-0, right? This has been talked about since the American Dream Team of Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were elbowing Angola while beating them by 50 points.
It's sports, though. And there's a new layer on this, is we haven't really had this discussion with women as the athletes.
A change by degrees in the conversation.
Yeah, Abby Wambach, who's one of the greatest women's soccer players ever in this, not just our nation's history, but in the history of the world, she had a tweet ending with the take, "Would you tell a men's team to not score and celebrate?" To which I respond, yeah. What? Would you? I mean, I would.
Yeah, of course I would.
I think it would be a huge national and worldwide scandal.
Stugotz has found on the American soccer landscape a Stugotz of the day. He is celebrating he is telling all the executives at ESPN that he loves the work of Julie Foudy.
Julie Foudy is fantastic. I have found my soccer analyst, and she deserves a raise. I am not saying this by way of criticism. I am saying this is praise, okay? She made a stink about the late celebrations, 11-0, 12-0, 13-0. She wasn't happy. She felt like they were excessive, not fair to Thailand. And then she had Alex Morgan on and asked her about those. And I thought she gave a very reasonable and great explanation. Hey, these are dream goals for us, World Cup goals. We're going to celebrate. But Julie Foudy, while making a stink without Alex Morgan in front of her, did not press Alex Morgan on the late game celebrations. Julie Foudy, you are my soccer analyst. I am proud of you. That's how you do it. I mean, great job by her, Fouds.
I've heard a lot of former players say you work for this your entire career to make it to a World Cup, and the goal is to score goals, and you absolutely should celebrate. Agreed, but come on. At 10-0, at 12-0, we're going to be doing scissor chopping celebrations on the sideline to prove that your ACL is good. I know it's good. You're up 12-0.
Oh, so what? They're in the World Cup, man. All the goals count, right? Based on the rules, all the goals count. Do they not?
I mean, at 8-0, we can relax a little bit. It's not the greatest look.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
I can't believe you guys are interested in this. I just wanted to sideswipe it and move on, and you guys have been sucked right back into it.
Because
Foudy,
it's so different because it's not
It's so different because it's women and it's 13-0. So
and it's
basically,
soccer. Like we're dominating a sport that in our nation we don't really dominate outside of the women's side, and they've never scored this many goals. It's super interesting.
The real question is, who would have won this game if it was 6-11? U.S. 6 players, Thailand 11. What do you think the final score is?
Good question.
And I think Thailand wins. That's
2-1
not
is
a
the
real
final
question.
score.
Okay, thank you.
I do think that the
US.
United States could have won under woman all game. They could have won 10 on 11.
Yeah, that's evident.
But, Mike, there's never enough goals, especially with these
There's
rules.
enough.
Mike, take it from a coach who just blew a 7-2 lead in the second half of a
Come
lacrosse
on,
game
Stugotz,
over the weekend. Now,
13.
listen, and I took
Come
my
on,
foot off the
man.
gas, and Dan, I will never do it again.
7-2.
I am
is-
warning every lacrosse team out there, okay? When it is 7-2, I'm going to make it 8-2. When it's 8-2, I'm going to make it 9-2. And when it's 9-2, I'm going to make it 10-2, 11-2, 12-2, and we're going to celebrate, okay? That was on me, not on my players. You have to keep your foot on the gas. That's what you do in sports. And celebrate it.
I'm not a hardliner about this, but I didn't like it when Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer ran up the scores on teams, and people would make the argument, in that sport you're incentivized to because of margin of victory and all the BCS and all this blah, 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 and you have it with goal differential too. I at first, when it got to 8-0, I was like, all right, shut it down, back pass. And then I got convinced by other players that have played there and been there, goal differential, fine, score the 13 goals. Let's not be running the score up with our celebrations too.
So Mike is taking a conservative stance on this. Again, I ask you guys, what is the story that I have to put in front of you where you say, you know what, I tap out. I don't want to talk anymore about the etiquette of sportsmanship.
I'll never tap out of that one.
Never. So you want it every time. Every time you want. I just
One of the building blocks of sports radio.
Right,
I
but
mean.
it's such a small new twist. Like
It's
just
huge. It's a 13-0 twist.
It's a gender-based twist, and it's a alarming score twist.
Alarming. Alarming. FIFA should have stepped in. There are too many teams in this tournament. That's not right. I felt so bad for Thailand. And I'm an American who's thirsty for soccer glory. This was a bad look.
Speaking of American, I'm sitting in a coffee shop this morning, and a guy walks in, and he's talking to the cashier about rooting interests in basketball. And he's like, well, I'm not that interested, but America. And so he's rooting for Golden State just based on nothing more, because patriotism is the best. Patriotism in sports it's the best. And so we'll take it wherever we can get it, even if Golden State is, I mean, I'm not even sure what's more America, Toronto or Oakland. I'm not even positive.
Yeah, someone saying America rooting for the Bay Area. That seems a little counterintuitive.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive's Home Quote Explorer gives you multiple quote options so you can pick what's right for you. See for yourself today at Progressive.com. Here's your SportsCenter update. We start with a Women's World Cup update. The United States starts off its World Cup campaign with a tournament record 13-0 victory over Thailand. Alex Morgan scored 5 goals. The Americans will take on Chile on Sunday. This Women's World Cup update is brought to you by California Almonds. I love those things. My God, I can't say the name, but I love them. California Almonds. Own your everyday with the 6 grams of naturally energizing protein in almonds. Those things are the best. They really are. Stanley Cup Final Game 7 between the Blues and Bruins is in Boston tonight. Wedding season is upon us, and the easiest way to look fresh for your big day is with thebblacktux.com. The Black Tux has awesome suits and tuxedos that you rent online. To get $20 off your purchase, visit thebblacktux.com. Enter code Dan. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
More than
Need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat, get a Vivid seat. Father's Day isn't complete without Off My Insurance, the new Eau de Parfum a la Progressive Insurance. Head to getoffmyinsurance.com today.
You're going to have trouble with that one, right?
It's I don't know how much longer this campaign is running, but yes, I'm going to have trouble with it until it ends.
I think you had nailed it that time. You don't have to slow down so much.
Eau de Parfum.
So I wanted to talk about what happened here with Kevin Durant because I found some of the stuff around it to be fascinating, Stugotz. I remember many years ago when it sort of dawned on me. It should have probably before then, but it dawned on me when Tim Duncan was taken out on a rebound and Ray Allen made a shot. And the next day, instead of talking about anything related to the greatness of the game, the conversation became about Greg Popovich being an idiot, taking Tim Duncan out of the game. And if you're willing to do that to Greg Popovich, you're basically willing to do it to anybody. We did it to Belichick when he went for it 4th and short one time against Peyton Manning. We'll do it to anybody. And so what happens is, much like the argument culture in sports, and everything's changed at ESPN where people are arguing all over the place and Bob Lee doesn't want to be around it. I think. What, Mike? I don't know. I don't know why Bob Lee's sabbatical is extended.
So let's run the air with something you don't know.
He said he thinks.
I'm assuming
it's
because we, specifically us, don't live up to his standards. Us, not even everyone else at the network. Us.
I think it's when I arrived at the same network as Bob Lee. That's where he started the question.
And started climbing on top of the head of Chris Berman, like a feces throwing monkey. So, as everything has changed at ESPN, as you've seen Stephen A. Smith become a cartoonish wrestling character who stands atop the mountain of gasbaggery, we do a lot of blaming, we do a lot of arguing. And when it comes to Kevin Durant, I found this fascinating. I don't know if you saw what happened with Tim Kawakami, who's an excellent reporter in the Bay Area. He's the one who wrote the column talking about how players inside the organization were wondering about Kevin Durant coming back and playing through pain. And I think Clay, after Game 5, gave voice to the fact, because what would Clay understand with missing time?
Right.
I think Clay said, yeah, we kind of wanted to get him back. And when we do blame culture stuff, when it comes to Kevin Durant, this is the question I want to ask you, because I think everybody involved in this, everyone, deserves a measure of blame. You tell me who out there is putting pressure on Kevin Durant to not play in that situation. Where did you hear anywhere? I know Max Kellerman said, hey, shouldn't we be careful? We got a question on highly questionable before he'd been cleared to practice. Should the Warriors rush him back? And I'm like, doesn't he need to be cleared to practice by the doctors who know more about this than the gas bags on television? And the thing that I want to get into with Kawakami is we need to find somebody or some place to put how bad this feels. People felt bad for how cruel that was, that all the pressure in the world from every orifice of sports was on Kevin Durant to play. And then he gets hurt. Now, who do we blame? Where do we blame? And Kawakami spent hours on Twitter yesterday saying this criticism's fair, this criticism's fair, simply because he wrote something from inside that locker room, reported about how there were questions about Kevin Durant and whether he should play, and then all the questions about his heart started, whether he's got heart, and then Boogie Cousins is telling everyone to bleep off.
But don't you think we should have questions? There's a lot of people who have a hard time believing. First off, they believe the reporting, right? They believe the reporting. A very credible reporter saying that there was pressure, internal pressure. But, Dan, the first time Kevin Durant got injured, the original injury, it looked like an Achilles injury. It looked like we weren't going to see him again for the remainder of the playoffs. And then conveniently, with a blueprint on the line, season on the line, all of a sudden Kevin Durant, after a month of not playing, can finally play. And I have a hard time personally believing,
well,
Dan,
you always feel entitled to say whatever you want. You always feel entitled to question anyone you want.
But I do have a hard time believing that doctors actually looked at that thing and said to Kevin Durant and thought to themselves, hey, there's no way he could do further damage to the Achilles or his leg.
I don't know, but you...
I know, but it's worth exploring, and it's fair to ask.
Not from people who aren't medically qualified, like you.
No, just like Stugotz. It's my favorite take. It's my favorite take, and I agree with it. He was totally misdiagnosed. He hurt his Achilles the first time. How about that?
I mean, you had guys like Reggie Miller saying it looked like the same injury he sustained. You have guys like Mike Golick who sustained that actual injury. He said you're not going to see him for the remainder of the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, down 3-1 with those reports sitting out there, internal pressure from the players, and you start to wonder, are the doctors telling the truth, and did those players pressure Kevin Durant into playing a game he shouldn't have played?
I'll ask the question again because it's very easy to play the result once you're met with the cruelty of sports and once his body betrays him and once we all feel bad for him. Now we look for where to put blame. And we'll go to the crying general manager of the Warriors, and we'll go to the doctors, and we'll go to Tim Kawakami, and we'll go all over the place. What I'm asking you, and I'll ask it again, outside of Toronto, where was the pressure to not play? Because from every orifice of this culture, it's, hey, $200 million guy at risk. You got to play. From every orifice of the entire sports world.
I know what you're doing. This has been chewed up through the sports spin cycle, and you're out here with the pivot.
I felt bad for Kawakami is what happened.
Oh, really?
Because
I thought you were going to go, don't you blame?
No, I felt bad for Kawakami because he just sat there. He sat there on Twitter and just took it from everybody because no one else was available to go grab the blame. Stugotz had already taken out Myers on his crocodile tears. like everybody had already mocked the general manager of the Warriors for weeping during the press conference.
But that's a great question by Mike. Who don't you blame?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, even as I object to blame culture, I'm telling you that everyone's to blame. I'm telling you
You're good at this, man.
I'm telling you
genius. You know that? Like, this is next level brilliance.
Yes,
Who don't you blame? Wow. I'm going to email Chuck. This is a great take.
I've never thought about it. It's new territory for me. I'm sweating.
Beep, beep, beep. Here comes the money truck.
Let's see. Most people would say you don't blame Kevin Durant, but have you seen his legs? He could afford to have done some more calf raises. And he was applying a lot of pressure on himself by seeing Iguodala and Klay Thompson and Looney out there. So Kevin Durant certainly not free from blame. Don't you blame?
You don't blame the reporters, do you? I don't blame them. They're just doing their job.
No, I blame the reporters and us because there's a supply and demand thing. We need to know who's to blame, and they're applying all sorts of pressure on the front end.
The midweek growth is slowly rearing its ugly head. You can chop off that ugly head with Dollar Shave Club. They will do it efficiently. They will do it smartly. They will do it in a way that's affordable. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, Dollar Shave Club's quality products will help you look, feel, and smell your best without going to a store. And right now, you can get a Dollar Shave Club starter set for just $5. It comes with everything you need for a great shave, the executive razor, shave butter, and face cleanser. You're going to love it. Get your starter set for just $5 right now at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. $5 starter sets right now only at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan.
We achieved greatness.
Our halftime show featured by
Right? Don't you get kind of like chills when you hear that song?
Jeff Buckley, also dead. He drowned.
Oh my God.
put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Amazing Grace. Does Amazing Grace give you chills? Because that's the first song I think of, sung well, especially by a chorus. Amazing Grace can be super moving. I want to ask you guys this as it relates to the conversation we were just having about Kevin Durant, because many of you are saying that Stugotz is right to question the doctors, and I understand why everybody would question the doctors on this. Grant Hill told us rather famously, as they ended his career and botched his health under a pressurized situation, that doctors were literally practicing medicine on him, that they were practicing medicine, trying to get it right, and they fouled up his career. If those doctors did, as Rachel Nichols reported, that they told Kevin Durant that he would not risk a worse injury than the one he already had, I genuinely wonder if that was a conversation that was had, whether there are any liability issues there, whether an angry employee could actually turn around and sue the Warriors if that's the advice that he was getting. I don't know. I don't know how that would go. I don't know whether there would be any chance or way in the legal system for that to do anything. But if he was told that, and you're trusting your doctors, and that's what happens, I genuinely wonder whether there's any recourse for Kevin Durant.
Well, he's told by their doctors that he can play. That is made public, and then you combine that with the reports, and then you start to wonder. I'm saying.
But hold on. Told that he could play is one thing. Told that he risks no further injury is something else.
I wonder if it comes down to semantics and it's a thing where the doctor said, you can't hurt your calf any more than it's already hurt, which he didn't. He hurt his Achilles. So they go out and like, well, you know what? He can't do any more damage to his calf. So he goes out and he plays and he gets another injury.
So let me ask you, based on what we were just talking about, if you make the culture of sports the following, where the pressure's coming from the media, where it's coming from your fans, where it's coming from your teammates, where it's coming from everywhere, and on top of that, we make the culture of sports the following, because Stugotz feels real entitled to what I'm about to say. Blame everyone, trust no one. Blame everyone, trust no one. That's our starting point on everything we're analyzing. We don't know as much about the doctors, but now we do. We do today. Today, we know more than the doctors. We're all medical experts today.
I'm saying these are fair questions to ask based on the Grant Hill story, based on Kawhi Leonard not trusting the doctors at San Antonio. These are fair questions to ask.
No one has been harder asking what you allege are fair questions than you to Kevin Durant over the last 3 years. Yeah. You feel entitled to all of these questions. No one has been a harsher critic, and you've pivoted. Like, you've pivoted to finding other places to blame when we're all part of this problem, man. We all expect that dude to play. We expect him to play through injury because that's what guys do.
Dan, I would tell you that if it was told to him, conveyed to him by any doctor that he could risk further injury with free agency upon him, I would tell him not to play.
I don't believe you. I don't believe
Achilles, Dan?
I do not believe that absent the injury in your timeline that you would actually tell Kevin Durant not to play Game 5 and wouldn't have ripped him for not playing Game 5.
Yo, chicken time.
I knew they were coming.
You know what? Actually, he is a Knicks fan. And there's an ulterior motive.
Thank you, chickens.
You know what? Fellas, I think we should
Very smart chicken.
Right through your life. I was going to say you were the one person that couldn't be blamed, actually. Right. You're on my list. You played it right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank
You're
you.
a good man with a good heart. I don't know about that. I love you.
Wow, I've never seen the chickens do that before.
I love that chicken.
Beep, beep, beep. Here comes the money truck.
Been waiting for those chickens forever, man. Come back more often, please.
Was Max the only one at our network saying, hey, he shouldn't be coming back? Was Max Kellerman the only one intimating as such? Because I didn't hear a whole lot of other people saying it.
Dan, to your credit, the day of the game, you said on this show, I remember you saying it, he has the most to risk. He's a free agent. It's easy for others to tell him to come back when he's got everything to risk and really nothing to gain. You said it.
But I also reported that he would play absent any information based on nothing more than the way sports work.
That's the part where I was proud of you.
You're asking a relatively impossible question since there's so many take artists out there. But we do feel confident in saying Max is the only person that said that wearing sunglasses.
Indoors.
Casper, people, it's the middle of the week, and I always just want to lay on that Casper mattress. They sent us some of them. It is easy. You just get a box at your house, and then it unfolds and opens, and you're comfortable for the next 10 years. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, it's the middle of the night. You're tossing and turning, not sleeping, drenched, covered in sweat. It's not the AC. It's your heat-trapping mattress, so get rid of it and get a Casper. The Casper mattress combines 4 layers of pressure-relieving foams for all-night comfort. Plus, breathable foams are designed to keep you cool all night, all summer long. Sleep cool and comfortable every night. Get a Casper. Try yours for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com. Use code STU for $100 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code STU. Additional terms and conditions apply. See Casper.com/terms.
I don't know if...
We've got some Charles Barkley sound. He is dispensing blame. We'll get to that in a second. Stugotz has gotten a lot of nominations. We were talking about Game 7 tonight's Stanley Cup Final, and Game 7 is alleged to be the best 2 words in sports. So we were looking for the worst 2 words in sports. What are some nominations you've gotten from our community, Stugotz?
Well, you like dry campus, so that's kind of the benchmark. You have to clear that. I have bad beat, Matt Harvey, pulled hammy, James Dolan, Dr. Andrews, and Mike Francesa.
Wow, Dr. Andrews. That's a good one, Dr. Andrews.
Better than dry campus, though?
Yeah.
Or Francesa?
Oh, so many good ones.
How about career ending?
Nah, I actually fear second opinion even more than career ending.
Wow, second opinion.
Tropicana Field.
Ooh, the drop.
The drop.
You don't like that, Billy? You don't like Tropicana Field? Or the Trop, whichever you
love the
prefer.
Trop, man.
I feel like the Trop is worse than Tropicana Field.
My God, what a hole that is.
Plus minus?
Before we get to more nominees on that front.
Saber metrics? What happened?
That might be one word.
What?
It is.
Get out of here.
It is one
There's
word.
no way.
Saber like a saber tooth?
One word too many.
Do you really believe that saber metrics is 2 words? You thought it was saber and then metrics.
Yeah, S-A-B-E-R, new word, M-E-T, however you spell metrics.
R-I-X, obviously. Allison, though, before we go down this path too much, though, for some reason, and Allison and Billy have a funny, dysfunctional, tension-filled relationship here at work. And Allison, for some reason, I walked into the other room, and she just blurted at me. She squawked it a bit. Talk about Billy's hair.
Entirely what happened, but you asked for topics, and the other day it was Mike's hair. It was a little nuts. We all agreed, and then today we did talk about it. Well, why are you looking confused?
We all agreed, so you all were just talking about how crazy my hair was.
Well,
We're talking
no.
about it to you.
Well, hold on a
We're
second.
in the room.
If we're gonna trace back to exactly what happened the other day, Dan walked in, and it was odd. He just walked in, and the first thing he said, not good morning, nothing, just looked up and he goes, "What's wrong with your hair?" to Mike.
Yeah.
To which Mike,
I thought he had come in from the rain because he was doing something with his bangs and stuff. I thought maybe he got wet. I wasn't making fun of him. I was not.
No, you weren't. You just said, "What's going on with your hair?" To which Mike replied, "I'm trying a new thing.
But
I
not
guess it's not working.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this again." And then he came back and it was wet, and I was trying to figure out if he tried to change. I don't know. But there was definitely hair tension the other day. So then you came in and you were asking me questions, and then Allison decided to make fun of my hair, which, I mean, okay, whatever.
You asked for topics.
I mean, we can't all be, good content creators. So you just said, let's talk about Billy's hair.
Wait, he asked for topics and you went Billy's hair?
Yeah.
I mean, that girl.
Can we talk about it?
What do you want to talk
Let's
about?
talk about it. Let's not talk about whether we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. What's wrong with Billy's hair?
What's wrong with my hair?
It's just odd to see him without a hat. Maybe that's what's strange.
Here's the thing about my hair.
Jarring.
So there are people in town that we may be meeting with today, so I thought I would not wear a hat today. I thought it'd be nice. Now, I didn't put product in my hair. I didn't put conditioner in my hair. I took a shower. I used just regular shampoo, and then I combed it, and then this is it. And I had a hat on, and maybe the hat has done something to my hair, but I don't think it's, terrible.
It's not terrible.
It is what it is. It's my hair. What do you want me to do? Let's talk about your hair, because your hair's so great today.
Your hair does look great today, Alice.
Just laughing at
It
people's
looks
faces
so much
about
better
it.
than Billy's hair.
Anyone's face, everybody's hair looks amazing on the show. Everybody
Where
looks
would you
great.
where would you have liked this conversation to go, just out of curiosity? Because I
No,
feel like it's
he
just, let's
needed
talk about Billy's hair.
topics. I feel like it's better.
Billy's hair, he's not wearing a hat. And then where do we take it from there? So what do we
Billy
do?
Go. It may be better than the worst 2 words in sports.
What's your problem?
It's a good topic, Allison.
What's your problem?
My 2 worst
Don't
words are
back
Allison
off,
Turner.
Allison. I
My
wanted.
problem, I don't know. Live in this room for however many
Yeah.
years in this tiny
It is
space
crazy.
and
You don't
then
have a house?
ask
Yeah,
what's your
this is-
problem. I
this is
think it's
nuts.
obvious.
live here?
No, I'm not that
I
bad.
mean, it feels like
This
I
is
live
nuts.
here. It
Okay.
does. It feels like it's
You know, when
suffocating.
you think everyone's crazy, sometimes you're the crazy one.
Like I said, live in this room for as long as I have in this tiny space with you guys, and you tell me how you.
Do you think there's anywhere in the world where 5 people work more closely together
No.
than you
This
5?
is-
Yeah, like a
No.
per
coal
square
mine or
foot?
something.
This
Yeah.
place is nuts.
Normal.
A coal mine. Imagine you're in a coal mine and all of a sudden somebody questions your hair. Like, leave me alone. I'm a
Yeah,
coal miner.
exactly.
I'm working here.
Thank you.
And we've got more executives coming in here because we're going to get a bunch of rescuers to come in and also be in the coal mine.
Like coal miners have rescuers sometimes.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, I'm thrown because I just felt like, in this day and age that I wouldn't be harassed for my physical appearance, and it's happening today. So
That's
it's
what's
just,
happening, Allison. You're laughing in people's faces.
I've never considered
HR.
going to HR before, but I'm kind of
Okay.
wondering.
You
the
should be
steps
thinking
now.
about it.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
HR is coming here today. We can bring it up.
Speaking of hair, I don't have the amount that he spends on his haircut, but Mark Davis does travel 500 miles to get his haircut.
All right. That's excellent. Excellent information. Allison, I would allege before America here that you red-faced with laughter and not able to look at us is one of the greatest things we have around here.
And it's never because someone said something funny. It's always because of something mean-spirited or something horrible has happened to someone, like they can't breathe.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Tristan Thompson's getting swallowed by
Chris
nope.
Humphries.
Nobody can stay
Chris
faithful.
Humphries
Chris
for a
Humphries.
minute.
They were married 72 days.
Yeah.
You don't remember the whole special? It was like a whole episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I've never seen an episode of The Kardashians. Never, not one.
the last segment, while everyone was talking about hair, was just mortified the camera was going to zoom in on his hair or talk about his hair, and he was late to return back to the studio this segment, and I just looked at him. You got your hair done. No. As a preemptive strike.
Lucio's good at his job, man.
What? You did your hair?
He really is. Lucio is amazing, man.
The last 2 days I've seen Chris Cody, and it's a bit startling to see him taking care of himself. But we do have on premises, and these guys think this is a normal environment, someone who will do your hair for you.
I don't want to be a narc, but I've walked in sometimes where there's people getting their haircuts in the middle of the show. And I think that's the strangest thing.
You're talking about Dan.
Yeah.
We have the 23 or 22 step redemption plan of Kevin Durant. We'll get to that in a second. But first,
it's the 22 steps to validation.
We'll get to that in a second. But Kirk Goldsberry is with us. He's got a book, Sprawl Ball, New York Times bestseller. It's available now. You could go to kirkgoldsberry.com to purchase. Tim Legler is going to be on with us in a half hour, and Desus and Mero are going to be on with us at 12:30 Eastern. But thanks for joining us, Kirk. Give me the three main reasons why Golden State is down in this series.
The three reasons why they're down in the series is obviously the Kevin Durant injury is number one. He was the best scorer in the playoffs, killing it. He goes down. That changes everything. But other than that, their role players have been really, really bad. I mean, besides this splash, well, there's virtually every other scorer they would depend on has been really inefficient. And then lastly, their defense has been bad. And this is a dynasty that's just as much about their incredible offense, Dan, as their defense. And simply put, their defense has been pretty bad by their standards in the series, and they've lost 3 games because of it.
Why is that? Because Stan Van Gundy's been telling us that their defense is what's going to cost them the championship, that they're not going to be able to turn something on in the playoffs that makes their defense top 5 the way it's been whenever they win the championship. Like, why has that happened?
Well, in my opinion, it's because Durant and Looney have either not been available or not been 100%, and that sort of prevents them from being super athletic. 1 through 5. I think their bigs have been too slow. Some of the players that had to step up, like Quinn Cook, are too inexperienced. Sean Livingston has lost a step, but at the end of the day, they're just too slow. This is a team that we think of as a super fast, super aggressive, flexible defense, and these injuries have cost them some of that quickness and some of that flexibility.
So based on what you know about basketball, and again, Kirk Goldsberry's got a book, Sprawl Ball, New York Times bestseller. You could purchase it at kirkgoldsberry.com. Would your analysis basically be, and I know that everyone says it's a make or miss league, that all of this now falls to Toronto in terms of being favored or not, because they're going to get all the shots they want? Golden State's defense not going to get any better.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to a bunch of players. I think Kawhi and Siakam sort of cancel out the Splash Brothers, and what I'm seeing, Dan, is a group of role players in Toronto that are much more equipped to win these games than the group of role players in Golden State. Now, that could change, but guys like Danny Green, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol have all sort of stepped up and won games with big shots, and there's no equivalent statement about the Warriors players. I mean, Iggy, Cousins, Livingston are obvious candidates to play well in the absence of Durant especially, and they've been terrible. So I think when it comes to shot making, I'm looking sort of below the marquee names and seeing stats that suggest that this series is being won and lost by the sort of less heralded players.
In their present state, who's better?
Oh, Toronto's better. I mean, Toronto is a very good defensive team. They should have won that game the other night. I don't think many people would disagree. They were in a great position to win and end the series, and you don't want to give Golden State a chance. So I think the question now becomes almost psychological for Toronto. Can they overcome that defeat and come back and win a game in Oracle or a potential Game 7 in Toronto? I think it's like we know that Golden State has sort of the heart and the mind of a champion. We don't know that about Toronto, but I think on paper, the way we look at the game analytically, Toronto in their current form is way better than Golden State.
As it relates to Kevin Durant, Kirk, what's the most interesting takeaway you've had from all of this?
Well, I think the Warriors have to move on from sort of he's gone mode into keep trucking on mode. They need to get past the fact that Kevin Durant is hurt and that huge emotional loss. That was a crazy, crazy incident for several reasons you guys have alluded to already. But for me, yeah, the defensive loss of Durant is underrated. Here's a guy who can defend multiple positions, helps them be athletic on defense. And with him out, they're playing guys like Cousins more. Jordan Bell more, Quinn Cook more. And they're losing a lot, not just on offense, but on defense. And as Stan Van said, this is a team that may look back at this series, and if they lose, blame their defense. And I don't think that can be overstated. And I think people underrate the impact of Kevin Durant, the defender, on the Golden State Warriors.
Kirk, I can't believe, and this is why you're the future of this business and I am not, I can't believe that of all the talking points on Kevin Durant, the most interesting one you found was their defense. Like, you went straight to basketball nerddom. I'm sitting here thinking about doctors. I'm thinking about liability. I'm thinking about lawsuits. I'm thinking about who's to blame, and you go straight to, well, their defense has really been impacted.
No, you're right. I mean, the Durant injury saga from a sports science perspective is poised to be the most discussed injury and recovery saga in the history of the NBA, potentially. There are legitimate questions about who decided what, when, based on what. And to me, it reveals that our community, sort of the analytical or data community, still doesn't know enough about injury risk at the very highest level of sports. And I think both the league and the Players Association need to invest some time and some money on these issues because the balance of power in the NBA continues to shift from the teams to the superstars. And the superstars, as you pointed out, are going to grow increasingly skeptical of team-level care. For better or worse, I think the Durant situation, from sort of a non-wonky basketball analytics perspective, is going to change the conversation about who, how, and why players are cleared to return to action. Because I think that it's revealed that we're sort of terrible at that.
Well, the greatest example of it, though, is on the other team, because that dude who didn't have a malcontent past clearly didn't trust the San Antonio medical staff. Clearly.
Yeah, and I was very near that position, Dan, as you know. But I think, like, one of the things you did a great job talking about earlier is just, like, the discourse around this stuff is very immature. And sports media doesn't know how to handle that thing. Both the Kawhi and the Durant situation have sort of challenged sports media in a way to discuss things that we don't have frameworks for, to sort of talk out of turn about medical science. But there's an opportunity, I think, for the league and sports media to sort of understand how and why we're talking about player health. And, you know, we've lionized Willis Reed for all these years, right? Kevin Durant had his Willis Reed moment, and it was terrible. And I think there are legitimate questions about how we, as basketball media, sort of discuss this stuff, because it's really complicated.
His book, Sprawl Ball, a New York Times bestseller, it's available now. KirkGoldsberry.com is where you go to purchase it. S.L. Price is as good a sports magazine writer as we have in this country. He has written for Sports Illustrated a profile on why Rich Paul will own the NBA summer. The Kingmaker is what the story is called. And Rich Paul says in the story, quote, Boston can trade for AD, but it'll be for 1 year. The Celtics traded for Anthony Davis. If the Celtics traded for Anthony Davis, we would go there and we would abide by our contractual obligations and we would go into free agency in 2020. I've stated that to them. But in the event that he decides to walk away and you give away assets, do not blame Rich Paul. These guys, LeBron's guys, are running the NBA, are they not?
Yeah, you know, the superstars and their agents are being sort of more and more vocal about not only trade demands, but directing the trades to particular destinations. I think that's certainly an emerging trend. But Anthony Davis, you know, he doesn't have the right, even as big as a superstar as he has contractual obligations to go wherever he sends. And I think it's really interesting that this is a public conversation. It tells me that Boston might be really serious about putting a great offer together. And Rich wants to go on the record and say, no, we're not letting him extend there. He's not interested in extending there, which really obviously reduces his trade value. But again, bringing it back to the Kawhi Leonard situation, here's a guy that was traded out to a team that he certainly didn't look like he would re-sign with at that time. And now there's a legitimate chance, if not a likely chance, that he'll stay in Toronto. So, you know, it's a really complicated situation, but it's really unprecedented, in my opinion, to see an agent go on the record this publicly and call out a specific organization and a player's future like that.
Well, they're trying to change the paradigm, right? Because the draft, the idea of a draft doesn't make sense. People that valuable coming out of college in most worlds don't have to go where they're sent. They have options. So This is them again in another way trying to change the paradigm. If you're going to make loyalty in the contract something that only works one way, well, then we're going to make these messes for you, and we're going to have leverage because we're going to minimize the Anthony Davis trade value. It has been obvious the last couple of days with the leaked information on New York and Los Angeles that after Griffin said, okay, we're open for trades, they are nuking it publicly. There is no way anyone can trade valuable assets for him if it's only going to be for a year, because it's more certain than Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, you might be able to talk him into it. They're saying publicly, you can't talk us into this.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and they're trying to get perpetual free agency. And again, the balance of power is switching to the superstars in this league, and this is just another data point. And if it's true that the worst two words in sports are James Dolan, there's this thing where players don't want to go to certain organizations for one reason or another. And to your point about this is the only industry in the world where the people who are best at their field don't get to choose where they work, that's particularly true for these traded players and drafted players. Once you reach free agency, you have some sort of free will, obviously. But before then, you can be sort of sent to, wherever you go. And that's really weird from sort of a non-sports context. But, yeah, I think these guys have rights to go where they want to go. It'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop in the summer. But what Rich just did here today with this Sports Illustrated quote is tell Boston, essentially, don't trade for this dude because he's going to leave you in a year. Which, if you're Boston, I guess is a nice thing to know and have out there in public. But it's certainly unprecedented from where we've been in the NBA for the last decade.
I think they are lying and giving false hope to the Knicks. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think the Knicks have a chance to make a lot of improvements on their team this year. Remains to be seen if they actually pull it off. But I don't think the Knicks have the assets to go out and get Anthony Davis from the Pelicans. I think there's other teams that are less public, less sort of darling teams that can put together really exciting, better packages than the New York Knicks for Anthony Davis.
You have to pick the two worst words in sports. I'm going to give you some options here. You got to pick one of them before you leave. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Bad beat, dry campus, Art Briles, torn Achilles, extra innings, Ed Malloy, Skip Bayless, Tropicana Field, the Jets, highly questionable, offensive holding, baseball season, Angel Hernandez, Sean Miller, Patriots win, Mike Francesa, no football this week, advanced analytics, instant replay, Tom Brady, career ending, plus minus, Heath Bell, Trey Wingo, Michael Wilbon, Santa Anita.
You left out sabermetrics.
Sabermetrics, I heard earlier with Stugotz. I got to say sabermetrics. And if you don't accept that answer, fine. I'll take advanced analytics. Sabermetrics are the worst two words in sports. You heard it here second.
There it is.
Show me the money.
Think about that, Dan. You need a second team to give the appearance that this is not a foregone conclusion. So you throw in the team that you have the most disdain for. You don't like their owner, the Phil Jackson debacle. And so you make the Knicks give up assets for Anthony Davis, who's going to leave in a year anyway. That's a heady play by Rich Paul, if indeed that's what's at play. I have no idea. I'm just guessing. It's a good guess.
So you agree with yourself? Good.
I do.
Dollar Shave Club, people. Tell them, Stugotz.
Dollar Shave Club's quality products will help you look, feel, and smell your best without going to a store. And right now, you can get a Dollar Shave Club starter set for just $5. That's it. It comes with everything you need for a great shave. The executive razor, shave butter, and face cleanser. You're going to love it. Get your starter set for just $5 at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. Do it today. $5 starter sets only at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan.
King Kong A.
Really like weird impersonations. Sean Connery is not one of them.
Okay, well, now you've opened the door that, obviously I have to follow up there, Jeff. So go ahead and do all the weird impersonations you like.
I could do a freakily accurate Elmo impersonation.
Listen, Manny Machado wanted a lot of money.
And when he wanted a lot of money, the San Diego Padres gave him the most. Like, that's what it came down to.
Get in touch with the show anytime through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed, a Levitard Show at Stugotz790. If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand. And the Dan Levitard podcast brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A., member FDIC. Dan, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
I have been told that Neil Everett shouted you out on the flagship creature that ESPN has named SportsCenter. We always love when the plague of Stugotz spreads its tentacles like a virus all over the network. So let's hear Neil Everett celebrate Stugotz.
7-0, Morgan with 2 goals. One shot ain't enough, Jack. You better make it 3. And speaking of shots, there's a bar in Miami, American Social. They gave 3 shots every time USA scored. Now I know where Stugotz watches his soccer. It's 8-0. Megan Rapinoe, like a Portland Pilot.
That's my man, Neil.
He thinks Stugotz is 2 words. The 2 worst words in sports are Stugotz, the way that he says it. We want to get to some Charles Barkley sound here in a second.
Like a Portland Pilot.
What happened? What are you guys smiling about back there? You guys just love highlights in SportsCenter done the old-fashioned way.
Like a Portland Pilot.
I love Neil Everett, man.
So do I, man.
He's so good.
I love the LA edition, man. It's really good. Both those guys are fantastic.
He slathers the cheese on purposefully, right?
How dare you?
Jeez, what are you talking about?
Like a Portland Pilot.
He's got the best intro of any SportsCenter anchor. How's it?
Cool's the
like
rule.
a Portland Pilot.
He threw in a Ramble on Rose reference a little bit later on in that highlight, Mike, which is one of my favorite Dead shows.
Like a Portland Pilot.
He is fantastic.
Let's hear that Charles Barkley sound.
Megan Rapinoe, like a Portland Pilot.
Let's hear that Charles Barkley sound as we live in the blame culture. Kevin Durant has gone down. We need to put our anger somewhere. We don't know where to put it. Who's to blame? Doctors, Golden State. I've just said everybody's to blame. So here's Charles Barkley is telling you who it is to blame. And I asked this question as well. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Lebitard Show. Has Charles Barkley ever gotten to second of all? Put in quotes, second of all.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
That is the best way to play the result. You know how I know it? Because just look at his Achilles. It rolled up like a drape.
Like a Portland Pilot.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
That was courtesy of Get Up, that sound of Charles Barkley very far away from Skype.
Like a Portland Pilot.
Maybe in the bathroom. Charles Barkley in the bathroom on Get Up before he's gotten up from the toilet.
Like a Portland Pilot.
Tim Legler is going to join us here in about 10 minutes. Desus and Mero coming up at 12:30 Eastern. The Black Tux people, we've been telling you they've bailed us out of situations. They do it efficiently, and they do it in a way that makes you look good. Tell them, God.
Yep, wedding season is upon us. You're going to be doing it big and going out to all your buddies' weddings. That's where theblacktux.com comes in. The Black Tux is your one-stop shop for modern fitting suits and tuxedos at half the price of what even the budget rental companies cost. They even offer free home try-ons. Stand out at your next event for the right reasons, only with the Black Tux. To get $20 off your purchase, visit theblacktux.com, enter code Dan. That's theblacktux.com, code Dan for $20 off your purchase. The Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered.
We are the sexiest show in the sport.
Right now, we go out to New Jersey where Billy is in a bald eagle costume, a 7-foot inflatable bald eagle costume, just bumping into things and bothering people. And Tim Legler, Tim Legler's confidence in his costume is much stronger than Billy's confidence in his costume.
He actually seems more confident as an eagle. strangely.
Right.
He's just walking around. He's got a little bit of a strut to him right now.
Give us what you got on Stugotz. Give us what you got. He just fell over. Now he can't get up. Can't get up because the costume is an inflatable car wash thing. The bald eagle is down. He can't get up.
Pro-Am event. I'd like to do that. Go to ebay.com/ESPN to donate to the Veep Foundation for a chance to win. Rules at ebay.com/ESPN.
Ask him the basketball questions in a moment, but first, a happy 78th birthday to Marv Albert.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
So, Tim, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight. We were talking about the best two words in sports. Now we're talking about the worst two words in sports. I need you to pick from among these only one, two worst words in sports. Are you ready?
Yes, let me hear him.
Ed Malloy, Art Briles, Skip Bayless, Tropicana Field, the Jets, offensive holding, baseball season, Angel Hernandez, Sean Miller, Patriots win, Mike Francesa, no football, advanced analytics, instant replay, Tom Brady, career ending, plus minus, Heath Bell, Trey Wingo, Michael Wilbon, Santa Anita, bad beat, dry campus, tested positive, Dr. Guerrero.
I only get one?
You can only pick one. The worst two words in sports can only be
no football.
Wow, a surprise.
How about
lockout? I don't know what I'd do with myself if I couldn't look forward to my football. Honestly.
How about lockout, Tim?
Can you hear the runner-ups? I thought that some of the runner-ups, dry campus came to mind, I think. Offensive holding, definitely something that drives me crazy. And then career ending, I would have to go with. I actually sort of experienced that. Even though it wasn't an acute career ender, it basically ended my career when I tore my ACL and two other ligaments because I was never the same.
How did you absorb everything that happened with Durant there?
Well, first, going into it, look, I was saying all along we were not going to see him unless he felt 100%. But I also know there's a clear difference between feeling 100% or feeling normal and being normal or being 100%. And the problem with this time of the year, he didn't get a chance to put that through all the normal rigors you would in a regular season because you're just not practicing at all. So he felt completely pain-free, no tightness, no soreness, and I knew we wouldn't see him unless he got to that point. But even though he walked out onto that court and we knew he was going to play, I was so nervous for him the entire time he was out on the court because I was just so afraid of something happening like what happened. And I didn't know necessarily he would tear his Achilles, and we don't know the extent of it. But I thought, maybe, re-injure or tear that calf muscle much more significantly. So I was so nervous the entire time. But then he started to play. He measured himself early. I saw him getting loose. He was not making any sharp cuts. He made a couple of shots. Then he hit the pull-up three, and I said, all right, he's starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm. Like he's getting a lather up right now, and he's starting to feel like he can go be himself. He goes down. I mean, I guess the word I would use would just be sick. I was sick to my stomach to watch that happen to a guy that good that I love watching play that much. More than anything else, that's the feeling that I had. That I typically get whenever I see any athlete go down with a really significant injury. It makes me sick to my stomach because I dealt with it, and I know what that feels like and what's coming for him and what the next year will be like.
Timmy, back when you were playing, did you ever wonder, or any of your teammates ever wonder, if the team doctors were being completely honest with them?
No, you didn't really feel that way. And I think like a lot of people are going to, it's true what Bob Myers said the other night. The one thing he did say that was really true was like we in this world we live in, you have to assign blame, right? There has to be an arrest, an indictment, a trial, and then a penalty. Like that's the way we live. That's how we operate. I don't know that that's necessarily the case here. I just think that people are discounting too much the athlete's input and what the athlete is having to say, and also how badly that guy wants to get back on the court. Like I think for people to have there was an implied pressure on the part of the Golden State Warriors. No, there's an implied pressure because it's professional sports. And it's a professional athlete that wants to be doing that more than anything else that he's ever done in his life. And that's a big factor in guys getting to a certain point and saying, yeah, I'm good to go. Now, would he have done it if it wasn't right at the end of the rope for their season? Probably not. If that's regular season, no. He waits a couple more weeks. But that's not the case. He saw an opportunity to potentially have another finals slip through his fingers, and he thinks he could go out there and help them win a title and help himself get another title. You're not going to keep a guy back in that situation. So a lot of this falls on the athlete, and people need to understand that.
When you say the one thing Myers did say that was really true, are you suggesting there were things he said that weren't true?
No, I didn't mean it that way at all. I heard people taking shots at him, saying that his whole appearance was disingenuous. I didn't personally feel that way. I'm just saying that's the one thing that jumped out to me in all of that it's completely true. And I think as a society, that's what we tend to do. Whenever anything goes wrong, no matter how random it might be, we have to find someone to point the finger at. And in this case, it's easier just to say, hey, let's blame the team because this guy's feeling a tremendous amount of pressure to get out there. And I just think you're not taking into account an athlete's mentality. This is what they would kill themselves to be on the court. And if he felt tightness, I'm convinced in my mind, if he was feeling tightness back there and it just didn't feel right, he's not going out there. He's just not. He felt normal. The problem is it's not a normal environment that you're testing it in that you're going to have to go replicate in an NBA game. Even the little dance move he made in the hallway.
I asked you.
I'll tell you something
27
else.
a game.
All 27 games are not created equal.
Okay.
How many points per possession are you getting? How many points per shot are you getting?
Oh, wow, Max with the nuance, the nuance. Stephen A. wants to do an argument show, and Max is doing the nuance show. Sorry, Tim.
That's okay. They're screaming at each other right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, they always are.
Yeah, I know, but more than usual. I was saying, I didn't notice it the first time I saw it. I saw it the next morning. When he did that did you see a little dance thing he did in the tunnel before he went out to the court?
And he spun around on the court right before he went off the court, like he was doing spin moves while making jumpers.
But the very last thing he did in that little dance move that he did in the tunnel, he did like a scissor kick where his right leg went back and it planted and landed, and he had full flexion on his Achilles, his calf, his foot was planted, and that leg was coming forward at a 45-degree angle. I mean, a sharp plant, full flexion going forward, almost exactly like the plant that he made when he tried to make that move, and you saw the injury happen. So in his mind, he felt like, I'm not feeling anything back there. It's time for me to go give this thing a shot. Like I said, if it was regular season, he probably wouldn't have played. But they were at the very end of their rope, and he saw it as it feels good enough. I think I'm good to go. Let me go test it out. But I guarantee you, even in his own mind, he had some uncertainty and some anxiety about what was going to happen.
I have more questions, but we're out of time, so I'm going to ask them off air and then bring them on air in the next segment.
Wow.
That's right. A private conversation with Tim Legler. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Splash.
Probably should have held off with that pregame celebration, right? That whole dancing thing. I mean, you're hurt. How about you go out and play basketball? He probably hurt himself there.
Thank you, Stugotz. Blink cameras, people. Blink cameras is where you want to go. I'm pretty sure that's what. Never mind. Blink cameras.
I don't think. I think he felt confident after doing that celebration. The Blink security cameras are a Dad's Day no-brainer. I'm serious. I have 2 questions for you that'll predict if they are perfect indeed for your father. First question, is Dad a gadget guy? Second question, does Dad worry about home security? Yeah. Well, you answered my questions. Then Blink security cameras are a Dad's Day no-brainer. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 lithium batteries that last up to 2 years. And Blink indoor cameras and systems are 20% off through Father's Day. Go to blinkprotect.com/Dan. That's blinkprotect.com/Dan. Blink cameras are also available on Amazon and at Best Buy. And you were like a fly on the wall. So report whatever it is that you heard there because it was intense.
Now, I missed the first question, but the second question was about Raptors ball movement. And when I heard that, I was like, man, I need to know what that first question was.
All right, first of all,
you asked the ball movement question?
You're misquoting me. First of all, it was Warriors ball movement, not Raptors
I'm not
ball
as interested.
movement.
That's how it's played out.
There were 2 questions I asked Tim Legler. You guys are always complaining that I don't care enough about sports. Well, I cared about him during the break. It was a brief meteor flying across the sky.
Off air.
That's right.
Have you ever asked about ball movement before?
Listen to me. These are the 2 questions I asked him. I said very seriously, as if I were interrogating him or deposing him, okay? The hardest questions being asked since Rob Manfred was here. I came straight at him and was like, Kirk Goldsberry, what he says, that Toronto in the present state is a lot better than Golden State. Do you agree? And he said, get rid of the a lot. Just make it better. But he confirmed better.
Shout out to you for repurposing your own content.
And then here, this is what we were talking about. And he was waxing poetic for 3 minutes on this subject because, Stugotz, with the season on the line and the craziest basketball Canada you've ever seen, what the Warriors did with the basketball to get Klay Thompson that look is as well as basketball can be played. If you watch it in slow motion, that is basketball art, where you watch the way Steph is dribbling, you watch Iguodala near the rim taking the ball and not panicking, sending it back out to Draymond, and then Draymond passing it at that velocity because he knew Kawhi Leonard was coming in the lane at that velocity to make that shot in that situation. I asked him if that's the best ball movement that he's ever seen a team capable of.
Did he say all of that, or I mean, how does this work here? I'm
Basketball
confused.
craze Canada, craziest Canada we've ever seen, is clearly something you've been saying all week.
I wasn't quoting him directly.
Okay.
Do you want to know his answer? You guys are always complaining. I don't care enough about
I thought
sports.
you already gave the answer, but his whole thing is confusing. Delivery, all of it. But I would like to hear his answer.
Was he even on the other end of the phone, or was it just a dial
It was
tone on
just
the
me
other-
talking to myself. I'm like, you guys have been doing that to me for years, haven't you? Where I'm like, Allison, get me Legler, and you just hand me a phone, and I bark into it, and then I hang up.
Told him.
Legler never said anything. I just said all of that to him. If he was still on the line, I don't know.
Yeah, you said that you went into that whole diatribe. You agree? Good. And you slammed the phone.
I've been there.
I did. I slammed a landline. That's right. Do you understand what I'm saying about in the history of the sport, there aren't many teams that can move the ball like that consistently, that would even think to move the ball like that? Because in that situation, Iguodala has the ball. How does Iguodala know, based on anything more than the way he's played with these guys for years, that there isn't, that the layup's not there for him, that he didn't get the pass that fast because he was meant to turn around in a panic situation and get a shot up?
That is called chemistry in practice, Dan.
I know, but not a lot of teams. Thank you, Stugotz, for all your wonderful analysis here. You're always there for me, whether it's on Alabama abortion law or right there where you say the most obvious of things. I appreciate you being there for me.
We agree. It's the craziest basketball candidate we've ever seen, though.
Yes,
we all agree on that, right?
That home.
Never been crazier.
Yeah.
You guys realize that in this series, there's one game that has been won at home, and both of our analysts today are telling you that Toronto is either better or a lot better than the team that they're going to play now.
Goldsberry did a better job, right? For sports radio, saying a lot better.
Well, he did it on air.
Yeah, he did it on air. Also, are you telling me to take the points? I think you're telling me to take the points. I'm taking the points. Taking the points. Best 2 words in sports.
We have ridden Stugotz in company.
Stugotz, you don't do any impersonations, do you?
Well, Stugotz, you do that Christopher Walken so well.
That Christopher Walken you did so well when you were put on the spot and asked to improv.
A fortnight.
Just terrible. His Christopher Walken is...
I wish I had a tail.
That was the best one you've done. It was still terrible. It was still no, it was terrible.
It was so terrible, I didn't know what he was doing.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Dodgers believe that shortstop Corey Seager has suffered a grade 2 plus serious hamstring strain, which typically takes 6 weeks to heal. Kevin Durant flew to New York City on Tuesday and was set to undergo an MRI on his injured Achilles. And finally, an English woman has been banned from pooing or urinating in public, has breached the court order nearly 20 times in 2 years. She's also banned from drinking alcohol in the town of Bournemouth. Am I saying that round?
Nope.
Am I saying that round?
Bournemouth? Hey, listen, I was rattled. I was thinking about this word the entire time because I've heard of Vermouth, right? But this is Bournemouth, right? Bournemouth? Yeah, I knew it was something like that. But it's not pronounced mouth, right?
Bournemouth.
Myth, right? Be spelled differently, though.
Quaint little beach town.
Oh, you've been there, huh? No time to wax your car. Introducing new 303 touchless sealant. I love this stuff. I brought it home the other day.
You'd think he's never done radio before. It's like it's a daily adventure. You'd think
Listen,
he's never done radio
my voice
before.
is hoarse, man. We had lacrosse weekend, and we lost a big game up 7-2 in the second half. I choked. Anytime. No time to wax your car. Introducing new 303 touchless sealant. Dan, I brought this stuff home and I used it. Can you believe it? I did. And used it correctly. It's that easy. It's a quicker, easier alternative to traditional vehicle waxing. Simply spray on, rinse off, offering twice the protection and shine of traditional wax. Available at O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit 303automotive.com. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Desus and Mero are going to join us in a half hour. We've got some Tim Kurkjian sound to play for you as well. But first, it's a happy time because Stugotz just pulled out from under his computer something that he wrote before the season started, maybe 2 seasons ago. There are a couple of things under that computer hidden for the right time. One is his Super Bowl observations. We never got to them after the Super Bowl. So at some point one day around here, we will simply break out the Super Bowl observations out of nowhere because it's the thing under Stugotz's computer. But the other thing under his computer that he just pulled out because he feels like gloating is he's been killing Kevin Durant for season after season. And he said there are only 23 steps that he has to take to get to validation.
Actually, just 22.
22. I'm
Yes.
sorry for misquoting you. You've been saying it for years. So the 22 steps for Kevin Durant to get to validation, because he had not. It took, put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Lebitard Show. Did it take tearing his Achilles to finally get Kevin Durant some support from the people who hate him?
We'll find out.
Exactly.
But here it is. Stugotz wrote them, 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago. The 23 steps to validation as predicted by Stugotz.
It's 22 steps. That's a fine. You're making KD take one too many steps, okay? Doesn't need to do that.
He injured himself on the last one.
So this was all in his final year. Now, you know me, I'm all about vision, and I see things before they happen. So I have been writing these down, and it's strange that the cleaning crew comes in every day and cleans every single little morsel of this studio up except for these two items. They leave them sitting right there. So this is all stuff that, it's 22 steps in KD's final season under contract with Golden State, and step 1 was to get hurt. He did that. Step 2, rehab. Step 3, Dano, leak a report to Ramona Shelburne that the Warriors don't think they could beat Toronto without KD. How about that? Number 4, lose game 1. The 5th step to validation for Kevin Durant. Day after losing game 1, say you coming back as a long shot. Step 6, let it sit. For the entire weekend, you just let that sit. Step 7, you have the Warriors build game 2 to build a false sense of security. You think they don't need you. How about that? It's all working out. Step 8, lose game 3 at home.
Like a Portland pilot.
Step 9, let the whispers start again. Step 10, lose game 4. You know what 11 means, Dan? Whispers become rumblings. Then you come back as the savior for game 5. But in game 5, you agitate the Raptors and their fans and then get injured.
Like a Portland pilot.
That is step 14 for those keeping track at home. 15, you have the fans you agitated cheer your injury, completely flipping the narrative and making you instantly likable.
I'm lucky to know him.
Then what you have, Dan, is, and this is a must, okay, in the 22 steps of validation, this is a must. You have to have Andre Iguodala, a finals MVP, and Steph Curry, a 2-time MVP, carry you off the court to the locker room during the game.
He's a good person.
Then you leave the arena during the game on crutches.
He's a good teammate.
And after that, Bob Myers believes he's to blame for your injury. You have him go out and cry about it in front of the media.
And if you have to, you can blame me. I run our basketball operations department.
Big crocodile tears. Allow all of your teammates who were allegedly bad-mouthing you to the media and saying they don't need you. You make them, Dan, and this is an important step, you make them feel guilty.
It's not fair.
Let the guilt sit. Then you lose. Now, this is the part, Dan. We'll see if it plays out here, but I'm telling you, this is how you get it back, okay? And for those keeping track at home, this is step 21, okay? Lose the final game at Oracle.
I don't know the extent of it.
Let it sit.
I don't.
Is Let It Sit a different one, or are you now producing? He's doing a
we're going
23rd.
back?
He's going to do a 23rd. Let
No,
It Sit
I
has
was
been like 2 or
confused.
3 of them already. Let it sit.
You lose the game at Oracle, and then you let that sit. It all happens at once, Dan. Lose, let it sit,
You've
all
used
at
Let It
once.
Sit as other steps in the process.
Some of the fans cheering when he went down. Trash.
So once you've done all that, all 21 or perhaps 22 of those steps, let's just call it 21, what you arrive at is step 22. And
Trash.
step 22
Trash.
is validation. I mean, that's it. I mean, we've arrived. We're there. I mean, I'm almost ready to validate them. But they have to lose the final game at the Oracle. And then let it sit. And then sign with the Knicks. Validation.
Where is that Tim Kurkjian sound that you were telling me about, Mike?
Almost there.
Kurkjian has given some good stats on Twitter about how much baseball has changed in terms of guys who have had a home run and a 3 strikeout game, 3 strikeouts and a home run, how much that's climbed. But what's the sound that you have here, Mike?
This is sound of Tim Kurkjian, so lovable. Him revealing something about his life that might shock people.
The U.S. had 40 shots in that game. How many shots did Thailand have? 2.
2?
2 shots.
That's how many I've had.
Wow.
Well,
They got outshot 40-2. That's unbelievable.
That's how many I've had?
Never mind.
You mean tonight, or is this like a historical thing?
Just
I thought it was just one. I thought it was one.
Ravi has convinced me I had another one.
Whoa!
Wow.
Still in debate. Look.
Shocking.
Oh, my God.
For years it was one, but now you've turned.
I think you convinced me I had a second shot.
Oh, boy. That is just beautiful.
It really is. It's the sound of the day. It's brought to you by mycomputercareer.edu, training for a better life.
Just in case you were wondering, there was 52 seconds of absolutely nothing happening in a baseball game.
Other than hard drinking Tim Kurkjian.
I think he fouled one away in that minute.
Beep, beep, beep. Here comes the money truck.
And some peer pressure from Ravi. How about that?
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is Ravi a bad influence? As Kurkjian clearly skids into alcoholism. Didn't he tell us that it takes like 3 beers to get him drunk? Or the last time he was drunk, he slept in a bathtub after 3 beers? So, guys, tell the people about Walmart. Desus and Mero going to join us in 20 minutes.
We all have busy lives, and even a seemingly simple task like heading to the grocery store can be a pain sometimes. I know it can. That's why you need Walmart's grocery pickup and delivery. It's quick, it's easy, and convenient. Just download the Walmart grocery app or head to grocerywalmart.com to get started. Place your order, then pick an exact time for pickup or hour window for delivery. It's that simple, and pickup is free. You can trust Walmart's team of highly trained associates to always pick the freshest items for you, guaranteed, or your money back. Use our code WOWFRESH to get $10 off your first order. That's WOWFRESH. Only at Walmart. $50 minimum, expires December 31st, 2019. Small fee applies.
We have run out of...
So if it sounds loud enough, you get that many decibels worth of points.
Roy, you have a decent swish sound. Let's hear it. Nah, decent. Dude, how you got
pretty
one?
good. No.
All right, 786-456-4837. If you want to call in with your swish sound, go ahead, Mike.
Let's go on. Let's go on.
I want to hear that again. I want to hear that again.
I
want to hear it again. Sorry, I lost him. All right, we'll bring him back. I'm sorry. Hold on,
He
I
hung
lost
up.
him. Will you calm down?
We'll never know if it's
calm
him.
down. Everybody calm down.
Everybody was
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami Only Hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app. And subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. New episodes every week. Please rate and subscribe. It's all available in the More tab of the ESPN app.
So we were talking earlier, and Desus and Mero are going to join us in about 15 minutes from showtime. We were talking earlier about Kevin Durant and Rachel Nichols' report that the doctors told Kevin Durant there would be no further worsening of an injury. And we were talking about whether or not that had any legal ramifications. So we are calling the guy who has been for a while now our legal expert, which is Carl Douglas from the O.J. Simpson defense team. The star of the 30 for 30 that won an Oscar for ESPN. And we just learned that he's very busy right now because today is the 25-year anniversary of the death of Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman. And so Carl Douglas is taking time because he's been talking to people. He's taking time to evaluate our absurd situation. So if Kevin Durant, Carl, thank you for joining us. If Kevin Durant were to come to you and said that the doctors had assured him there would be no worsening of the injury by testing it and playing it, and he's got a $200 million contract, can he do what Bill Walton, I think, did once upon a time? Can you sue for malpractice or anything in that range?
Well, first of all, Dan, thanks for having me, and I love Mike for that walk-up music. Now, if Kevin Durant had called me because he sprained his finger, I would take his case.
Okay.
You got to remember, guys, no matter what it is, man, I'm taking that case. Absolutely. Are you crazy?
Okay, so explain to me, though, if you were really trying to be someone who caused a public stink, and let's just say that Kevin Durant is actually angry at the medical staff, what would be the lawyer's next step?
Dan, it's a real issue because in California, we have a concept saying failure to warn. If they fail to warn, he might be able to sue the doctors. Now, also in California, we have workers' compensation laws. So because he's an employee of the Warriors, he probably could not sue the Warriors themselves. If the doctors are employees of the Warriors, he may not be able to sue them himself. However, if there are some third-party independent contractors, perhaps, who work with the Warriors, he might be able to sue them. And also, Billy had a wonderful thought that you guys just played over. What if they said you're not going to risk any further injury to your calf, but they didn't tell him about injury or the potential to the Achilles? Now, that is an interesting legal conundrum.
And you are siding on which side of it? What do you think?
I say if the doctors were independent contractors, as most of them are, I think, for these teams, and did not work directly with the Warriors, Kevin would have a viable claim that they failed to adequately warn him of the potential of injury to his Achilles. Then it's the same leg. The Achilles is connected to, in some ways, with tendons to the calf. When he first got hurt, he was rubbing his Achilles like it was Achilles injury. My goodness, what else do you need?
I mean, that's what I said. I mean, look, we got a couple of legal geniuses in here, me and Guillermo.
It's amazing. So how much would Carl Douglas be calling for in damages?
Well, in California, regrettably, we have caps on the emotional distress, which is limited to $250,000, but there's no caps on the potential loss of earnings. So if I could prove, Kevin, that you would be risking hundreds of millions of dollars, please call Douglas Hicks Law in Los Angeles.
All right, Carl, thank you for being on with us.
I missed you.
Yes, we have missed you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for making the time, sir.
Okay, guys, next time, please. Next time.
I love that guy so much. Why skeptical, Guillermo? Why? Why
No,
skeptical?
I'm not skeptical. I mean, I should have been a lawyer, it sounds like. That guy could be a talk show host.
He's so
right?
good.
Yeah.
He stole the OJ documentary. You know how much good stuff was in that? And he stole it.
Bad stuff in it, too, Dan.
Oh, thank you, Guillermo.
I can't believe we have such an expert medical
Thank
opinion
you.
like Stugotz.
Thank
I
you.
was at Flanagan's the other day during that injury, that Kevin Durant injury, and the first word as I was chewing a Philly cheesesteak was Achilles. And look at what happened.
I mean, people forget that. You go all the way back to the original injury. We all thought it was an Achilles at the time, even the guys calling the game. That's pretty tricky if Golden State never used that actual word. How do you play?
Break out the red panties. We are rich, baby.
Desus and Mero are going to be joining us in 8 minutes. That right there, the last 5 minutes, is something you can't get anywhere else, because why would you?
He wants that case, man.
He does. Call me.
I think he'd get like 30%. Of course he wants that case.
Did you hear how sing-songy he delivered?
It was great.
There's no cap on Ernie.
No, regrettably, there's
It's on emotional distress, but there is no cap on loss of Ernie.
It sounded like a jingle. for a law office that you could not trust to do anything other than get you $200 million in a way that doesn't feel great. Grainger, facility managers, manage your facility with the help of Grainger. We got Desus and Mero coming up, but before that, Stugotz is here to tell you about Grainger.
Yep, running your business is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. It is, guys. Every problem and every solution is up to you. When a problem arises and you need a solution, Grainger's got your back. Whether you need critical items fast, something isn't working like it should, or you just can't find exactly what you're looking for, Grainger is ready to help because you don't stop, neither do they. Grainger has 24/7 customer support, sourcing specialist, and same-day pickup and delivery options. Don't forget about their on-demand products and technical expertise. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, Grainger's got your back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by a branch. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Dan and his...
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Desus and Mero going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Dodgers believe that shortstop Corey Seager has suffered a grade 2+ serious hamstring strain, which typically takes 6 weeks to heal. Kevin Durant flew to New York City on Tuesday and was set to undergo an MRI on his injured Achilles. Hopefully he stays in New York City. And finally, John Turturro has wrapped filming the Big Lebowski spin-off film about the Jesus. Turturro says the film knows how stupid men are and that women in the film are the stronger characters.
Jeez,
yeah, that was terrible. Bad. I can't even defend it. That's just all tired. Blink security cameras are a Dad's Day no-brainer. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free and set up in minutes, and Blink indoor cameras are 20% off through Father's Day. It's a great Father's Day gift. Go to blinkprotect.com/Dan. Blink cameras are also available on Amazon and at Best Buy. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Not a lot of guys have the story that these guys have. They basically were funny guys on social media and connected. People could see their chemistry, and they've turned it into a bit of an industry. Desus and Mero airs Mondays, Thursdays on Showtime. This summer, you can see them live. If you want tickets and tour dates, bodegahive.com is where you go. Desus and Mero with us. I have found your guys and your story fascinating. Desus, like, how crazy has it been? I know it's an open-ended question, but you look back on it and you see what?
There's no adjective to describe it because, like, it still doesn't seem real. So, like, sometimes we're even on stage and you just look at the crowd and you're just like, yo, how did we get here? Because it's a journey that not many people have gone on and is very unique to us. Like, every day is a new adventure, and every day you're still just kind of shocked, like, yo, we are really doing this.
How many moments like that have you had, Mero?
Man, a ton, man. Like, from going back to, like, the MTV days when Desus sat on a pregnant Kim
Kardashian, that's right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Up until now, like, bro, we had Whoopi Goldberg come on the show and be like, you guys are keeping me relevant. I was like, you're Whoopi Goldberg. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, I was standing in front of a bodega shirtless a year ago, and now Whoopi Goldberg is saying we are keeping you relevant. That is wild. So there's a lot of, like, kind of like stop and pause moments where you're just like, holy shit, like, yo, how did this, you know, like, just how did just being authentic and having fun with your friends and joking around become the funnest job ever? You know what I mean?
Were you guys ready for any of it? Because fame like that fast, that's something that could corrupt young people, mature people. Were you guys in any way ready for what was coming?
You know what? It came at a good time because if we were like in our early 20s, we probably would like spend all our money on clothes and cocaine and OD'd already and had a nervous breakdown. But because, like, you know, we had regular jobs and we've actually lived life. And this comes on as like just a different part of our lives. But we've had jobs where we were dead broke, jobs that we hated. And we know it's very rare to have a job that you like, that's fun, that you're able to do with your friends. And it comes so naturally to you. So if you just keep that perspective, the celebrity and all that stuff, that comes with it, and that's cool. But we're so even-minded and just humble guys that it's just like, yo, this is cool, but don't get gassed. Don't start being like the wild So like you'll never see us in the street like snubbing our nose at people like, oh, you're beneath us, because like we understand that we take it one day at a time, and it's just like if you're not nice to your fans and not nice to regular people, you know, you're not going to have any fans anymore, and this little ride is going to end. So I think we've been handling the celebrity kind of well. My man Mero has stepped it up. He's dripping with the Versace now. So, you know, we you know what I'm saying?
Who had the worst job from among you two while you were coming up? Because, I can't tell. I see this, Desus had blog posts, and they had headlines like, free Verizon webinar on offering leadership principles for small business owners. Like, that does not seem like the greatest job for you.
Oh, my God. You know what? The worst job you could possibly have is something that you know you're smarter than what you're doing, and it's just draining. And, you know, at the time, that job was what it was, but it was just like sometimes, fam, I had to, like, take a press release from Smoothie King and turn it into, like, 400 words. And it was just like, yo, fam, come on. There's got to be a better purpose for me. But the worst job I ever had was one of my first jobs where I had to go around an auto body shop with a bucket and pick up dead rats. So I always kept that in perspective when I really complain about my jobs, because nothing was worse than that job.
Yeah, for me, I mean, like, I worked at a beauty supply store, and I didn't know anything about beauty supplies. Somebody's aunt knew my mom, and she was like, yo, can you please give this motherfucker a job, because he was asking me for $5 every day, you know what I mean, to go smoke weed. So I ended up working at Sally Beauty Supply at the illustrious Bay Plaza, you know what I'm saying, and wearing a do-rag and telling women about deep conditioning and, like, just straight talking out of my ass about beauty products that I knew nothing about.
How has Showtime been with you guys? Is it what you expected?
It's great. It's great. It's because Showtime's a real channel, and when you think of Showtime, you kind of think of like, depending on your age, you might think of like softcore porn late at night, or just like really serious shows, like not really serious shows, but more serious dramas like Ray Donovan and Billions. And when we were signed into Showtime, they were so excited, bro. Like they had like diagrams, and the conference rooms were just full of like 50 staff members that wanted to meet us. And then, you know, at first you're just like, yo, this is Hollywood. This is how it starts. Every show is like this. Like, you know, in the honeymoon period, and then it turns to reality, and it's not so friendly, and you request certain things and you don't get them. But with Showtime, that's never happened. You wouldn't see the Showtime people on set. You're happy because they're happy to see you, and they're never complaining, and they're like, yo, is this okay? Is this all right? They're very hands-on without ruining anything, and it's hands-on like, how can we help you make the best show? They don't get in the way. They like, yo, you guys are proven talent. You guys do what you do, and no one does it the way you guys do it. So what we want to do is provide you the resources to do what you do, and we'll step out the way.
Forgive me, Mero, for not knowing this, because I'm ignorant on this. But what happened with Viceland?
Well, it was just like you deal with the sports world a lot, Dan. So you know how it is. It's just like, you know, your contract is up. You had a great season. So then other teams come and make offers. You know what I mean? And it's just that type of business aspect of it, right? Like Showtime saw us, a couple of other networks saw us, and it became kind of like this bidding war, so to speak. You know what I mean? And, you know, we were just kind of like weighing our options, like where can we do the most of what we want to do? And, you know, it ended up being Showtime. It was just a matter of our contract is up here. What's our next step? You know what I mean? And at that time, we already had suitors, and it was just a matter of, like, picking what we felt was the best fit. You know what I mean?
No hard feelings on any of that stuff?
Yeah, no. Nobody's burning our jerseys over there.
Okay. And did you know when you were over there, did you know that that was going to be something that you could parlay into the next step?
When the show took off, you know, it took a little bit to take off, but when it did, it just became kind of like this cultural juggernaut that, like, you know, people of color and, like, you know, people that look and sound like us gravitated towards. And it became kind of like appointment viewing. Like, I can't tell you how many people have come up to us and been like, hey, you know, me and my girlfriend, or me and my boyfriend, or me and my whoever, like, it's like, it's a ritual for us. Like, we sit down, we get our glass of wine or whatever we do, and we sit down and we watch you guys. You know what I mean? So it was just like, that was just like a wow moment, you know, for us. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, okay, we're appointment viewing. Like, when else do you hear that type of shit? You know what I mean? Like, when people say appointment viewing, they think about, like, Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Like, you know?
What happened with you guys and the Swifties? I don't know the details on this story except that there were death threats.
We went on Jimmy Fallon's show, as we do. We've been on for our 7th appearance, you know, little plug right there. And we were playing, like, Password with Charisse Theron and Jimmy Fallon. Me and Mero, you know, we work so closely together, we can finish each other's sentences. So one of the hints was Taylor Swift. Mero looks at me and says, she has a long back. I said immediately Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift fans felt we were body shaming her and decided that they were going to flood our Instagram with emojis and death threats. But when you realize death threats are coming from a 13-year-old, you kind of can ignore them. And also they were telling us stuff like, I hope you lick a toilet and die. So it was like, damn, this beef isn't even worth it. Teenagers have the concentration of a goldfish. We knew that after 3 days it would be done, and it's all gone. It stopped, and now they've moved on to other things.
You were being attacked by a brigade of teenagers is what happened. You experienced it the same way, Mero.
You know what it was? It was a little wilder because they would get into my DMs and whatever and be like, I know you have 4 children. I know where you live. I know where they go to school. If you don't apologize to Taylor Swift by the end of the week, you'll pay, or some like creepy, weird like that. And I'm just like, I'm from the Bronx. I'm just like, yo, I wish you would pull up. You know what I mean? Like, but, you know, being in the entertainment industry, that's not how things work. So I'm not even going to act like I was scared. I was never for a moment scared. But it's just kind of like, what type of person do you have to be to threaten somebody's family, threaten to dox them over somebody that wouldn't on you if you were on fire?
Have you made any real enemies?
The IRS. Yeah. Boy, when they come knocking, you got to give them everything, man.
I feel like we've vanquished all our enemies, man. Like, they've either extended an olive branch to us or we have just totally annihilated them. Like, I don't think we've taken an L yet. We're like the Floyd Mayweathers of comedy, man.
Without the domestic violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mero annoys Desus, right?
No. Man, we're having way too much fun to be having like little squabs and little pet peeves and stuff like that. Only thing I don't like that Mero does, Mero enjoys eating a lot of cheese products. We have to ride in a car together, so he's like the fart. So I'm not a big fan of that, but that's about it.
You guys are gassy and you're grassy, too, because when you blew through here, you guys, I'm still paying for the stone crab bill. And furthermore, it's because you guys were so hungry, because you made ESPN executives crazy because you came in and threw a bunch of blunts on the table. I mean, you should have seen the meetings. There were so many meetings because on Disney Air, why are there blunts on the table? And a grinder. There's a grinder there, too.
Listen, the brand is strong. What do you want?
Did you go downstairs and purposely say, we're going to order the most expensive things? We're going to do this because we can.
Listen, when Tony Montana says he wants Miami, you got to believe him.
Yeah, but I was thinking chicken fingers and fries. I wasn't thinking stone crab and lobster, and you had things imported.
What do you expect? We've left the Bronx like 4 times in our life. Like, we were just like, whoa! I'm not even gonna lie. Like, at one point, we're just sitting there drinking and cracking open lobster legs, and you're on the air like, yeah, are they coming on the show? And I was like, is he talking about us? So we're not supposed to be on there for like 2 more hours.
Hey guys, there is still a trail of stone crab claws all the way through the alley back there. They haven't been able to clean it up. Like, you guys were trying to hurt me on that bill, correct?
Oh my God, we were doing so much. We apologize.
All right. Well, congratulations. Yeah, I can see how sincerely sorry he is. Desus and Mero, Monday and Thursday on Showtime this summer. You can see them live in Miami and Austin in July, in LA, Houston, and Dallas in August. Tickets and tour dates, visit bodegahive.com. Thank you guys for being on. I always appreciate talking to you, and I'm happy for your success.
Hey, listen, and if you don't like Dan Le Batard, if you don't listen to Dan Le Batard, you don't get the show.
Very poorly done.
Got him.
Money, 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 money.
This Father's Day, gift dad at Tissot. Tissot is the official watch of the NBA, and the Tissot NBA collection offers different timepieces in all 30 teams. Plus, the newest edition, the Tissot Chrono XL NBA Collector, is made with official Spalding game ball leather. Every Tissot timepiece delivers quality performance and traditional luxury at an unbeatable price. Shop the Tissot collection today at us.tissotshop.com and at select watch and jewelry stores nationwide.
This is the biggest.
If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A., member FDIC.
Check out our Instagram account. We are on the gram. It has never been said stiffer or older than that. At Le Batard Show is how you vote on the polls. Also on Twitter. What do we have today? We got a light polls day, but we got to get back to the worst 2 words in sports as well. So what do we have on the poll?
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club delivers the products you use to look, feel, and smell your best right to your door. Plus, with their handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Dan for a special offer. At Le Batard Show on Twitter. Does Amazing Grace give you chills? Guys.
What?
This has never happened before in show history.
No way. What is?
It's never happened before.
What could it possibly be?
First time for everything. 50% of the audience said yes. And that means 50% of the audience said no.
That's amazing.
It's the first time ever, right? Wow. It's the first time that's ever
never
happened.
happened.
In the
How many
history of the
votes?
show.
How many votes?
How many years have we done this?
Wow.
For that to be the first time, for it to be 50, it doesn't. Refresh. It can't possibly.
You
be.
want refresh one.
Yeah.
Refresh one sec. See what happens.
You can't possibly be the case.
Are you sure this has never happened before?
It's never happened before, so I just and I just refreshed it, and here's the deal: more votes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
They were just under 5,000, and now they're well over 5,000.
Uh-huh.
Okay. 50% of the audience said yes.
Yeah.
And 50% of the audience said no.
Still?
No,
Still.
the measurements are wrong. It's like the Russians coming in Chernobyl. No. The measurements are wrong.
You want me to refresh it one more time?
No, let's move on. At Le Batard
sure?
Show, let's move on.
Pump cool water into the
I just
reactor.
don't believe
Pump
it.
cool water
Our
into the
faces are
reactor.
blistering, and I'm throwing up on the microphone.
What's the margin for error?
What does that mean?
At Le Batard Show, Instagram and Twitter.
I refreshed it, by the way. Closer to 6,000 votes now. 50-50. Incredible. Has Charles Barkley ever gotten to second of all? Great question.
It is a great question. He always starts with first of all, and there's never a second of all, and there's never a third of all.
93% of the audience said no. Did it take tearing his Achilles to finally get Kevin Durant some support from the people who hate him? 86% of the audience said yes. Is Ravi a bad influence? 85% of the audience said yes. Those are the polls.
Let's go around the room here. Worst 2 words in sports. We've got some of these nominees because Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final is alleged to be the best 2 words in sports. Game 7.
There, dude. It's Game 7, and you've largely ignored what is the greatest 2 words in sports. Game 7, bruh. We got the Blues. We got the Bees. It's in Boston. We got Lord Stanley, dude. We got Lord Stanley. We got Tarasenko, bro.
Why are you close to the microphone?
We got Tarasenko, bro. We got Tuukka Rask. That dude is smoother than a Rick Bayless Speaking of Mole, it's the only thing that you can eat when you have your jaw wired shut, like Zdeno Chara, bro.
Worst 2 words
Playing
in
with a broken jaw, bro.
I know. It's wired shut. It's wired shut. But the hockey guy, surfer hockey guy, is only welcome when he's far away from the mic.
6 foot. Nice, dude.
I will allow you to get closer to the mic because Game 7 are the best 2 words in sports. Chris, here's what you've got to.
Ryan O'Reilly's a hang ten shaka, bro.
Here's what you've got to choose from. Worst 2 words in sports. Art Briles, torn Achilles, extra innings. Ed Malloy, Skip Bayless, the Trop, the Jets, highly questionable offensive holding. Baseball season, Angel Hernandez, Sean Miller, Patriots win, Mike Francesa, no football, advanced analytics, instant replay, Tom Brady, career ending, plus minus, Trey Wingo, Michael Wilbon, Santa Anita, bad beat, dry campus, tested positive. Chris, go.
Tom Brady, out of here. Tired of you.
Billy, go.
Soccer game.
Oh, he went off the board. Roy, go.
Concussion protocol.
Wow, Roy also went off the board. Mike, go.
Urban Meyer.
Hockey guy, surfer guy, far away from the mic.
I have to cut you off, dude, because Krejci, that dude, keep an eye on him. His game is more tart than a carnitas taco. I don't even know if that's a proper adjective to describe ice hockey, but I like tacos and I say far away from the mic, dude.
You just heard the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
All right, bye.